up just a little bit. Let's see how this old streamer is going right now. Everything's checking. All right, what's up, everybody? I don't even know why I'm wearing headphones right now, as if I can hear anything. I just wanted to do a live stream on this, the whole situation of Aaron Rodgers returning to Green Bay and what that means for Kirk Cousins. So everybody that I'm sure went after me on that video where I talked about Kirk Cousins, my asking price, at least 2 first-round picks. Oh, Kirk, he ain't worth all that shit. Well, guess what? You think it's a game? I know it's the literal game of football, but in terms of the business side of it, Carson Wentz, that trade, Philly to Indy, what ended up being a first-round pick and a third-round pick, Kirk Cousins is much better than Carson Wentz. So 2 first-round picks. And Kirk Cousins is arguably the number 1 quarterback on the trade market, depending on what happens with Russell Wilson. So the market is getting really hot. So if you don't think he's worth all that, then for the case of Carolina, their GM, Scott Fitterer, and their head coach, Matt Rule, whereas if you don't turn it around this 2022 season, you will be fired. Desperation will kick in. Some of your comments. And Aaron Rodgers. My God. Who is this? Eric says, LOL, GG Packers. I mean, it's just the fact that I hate this dude so much. Not because of his play. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but just being such a drama queen. You posted the Last Dance photo. We're going to do this one last time. All right, and then we're out. You just have to do it in such dramatic fashion every single year. It's Favre all over again. But whatever. Kirk Cousins, that trade market is heating up. Elijah says Mannion stock is heating up as well. Probably. Hey, listen, if you want a cheap quarterback, everybody, let's go cheap on the quarterback. It doesn't matter. Let's go full rebuild. Sean Mannion, that's your guy. Vet minimum. Let's do this. Let's go cheap on the quarterback. That is so hilarious, man. Sean Mannion, QB1. Mr. Crimson Cobra says, in a normal year, he's not worth that much. This year, he would be. Kirk Cousins, yeah, 2 first-round picks. It's happening. If they do trade him, that is the minimum. And actually, let me look at some of the teams that I believe would be in the running for this guy as far as a trade for Kirk. So we will start with Cleveland, even though they sound like they're committed to Baker Mayfield. I'll believe it when I see it. That dude's terrible. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Indy, because they need a quarterback after just trading for Carson Wentz. He's garbage. Denver, that might be the number 1. That might be the team that's the most desperate between them and Carolina. So we've got what? 2, 3, 4 teams so far. In the NFC, Carolina, that's 5. Is that it? It looks like about 5 teams, at least. I would say New Orleans, but they're like 75 million over the cap right now. That's just not going to happen. But you've got 5 teams at least that are willing to trade for Kirk Cousins. He ain't worth all that much. All right, we'll see. MK Ultra Vibe says Cousins is walking next year unless they win a Super Bowl, which won't happen. Might as well get a bag of popcorn for him. I think they can make it to the playoffs next year. Whatever happens after that, that's a whole different discussion. But I just feel like this whole let's go rebuild, let's do a bridge quarterback. If Justin Jefferson was not on this team, I would agree with you. Sure, I don't give a damn. But why don't you ask Jefferson himself, huh? You just saw your boy Jamar Chase and Odell Beckham Jr. play in the Super Bowl. In the case of Jamar Chase, his rookie year, right? Your LSU buddies. What you think about a rebuild? You trying to do all that? What? Oh, he's going to be down for it. Please. If he wasn't on this team, I'd be all down for it. Keeping Jefferson happy is the number 1 priority. Teddy B says, hey, Randy, I would urge the Vikings not to draft Willis. He plays on a very weak conference. Named the last quarterback to be drafted, not from a Power 5 to sustain great success. Thoughts? I guess what what conference is Wyoming in? I'm about to look that up because I would say Josh Allen. I don't think they're in a Power 5 conference. Wyoming Football Conference. They are in the Mountain West. So Josh Allen, there you go. But to your point, I don't think the Vikings should draft Malik Willis. I know the comparisons to Josh Allen are there, but Malik Willis, that dude is raw, man. He is just it kind of reminds me of Mitch Trubisky. Once you get him past his first read, he panics, he gets shook, and he just takes off running. I don't know how much you can coach. I don't know how much you can improve Malik Willis through coaching on that front. It's just a lot, man. Too Evil to Hope says, why are you so hung up on JJ being tied to Kurt? Who's to say he wouldn't embrace a team rebuild to compete in 2 to 3 years? The man said himself, I'm used to winning, right? When we were losing and getting our asses kicked and having the worst 2-minute drill defense in the history of the NFL, he said, I'm used to winning. You know he wants to win. Let's not sit here and act like, oh, yeah, he's going to embrace a full rebuild. No, he's not. And it's not him being attached to Kirk Cousins. If you can get Russell Wilson, great, fantastic. Replace Kirk with a quality quarterback, and I'm solid. But this whole idea of let's bring in Baker Mayfield, the dude that Justin Jefferson literally threw shade at when Odell Beckham Jr. was going through the whole terrain over there, and his father put out the compilation tape of how much Baker Mayfield was under or overthrowing his son. Let's bring in that quarterback to Justin Jefferson, or let's bring in Marcus Mariota or Jimmy G after the man just said, I'm used to winning. What sense does that make? Anybody else want to bring in Gardner Minshew for a year? I guess I could be convinced on that. He's not bad. And I think the Vikings could win 8 or 9 games. It would make it interesting. I still feel like after 3 years, something like that, I don't know if Jefferson, he's going to eventually want to force his way out of Minnesota. But I could maybe see myself being convinced on Minshew. Let's see. Ali says only half of the problem is Cousins' play on the field. The other half is the contract. Well, the contract, that's just the cost of admission. I get that. And as much as I do defend Kirk, I don't want to see him on a $40 million a year contract as far as the cap hit is concerned. But there were the reports recently, a day or two ago, that Matthew Stafford, he could be looking at a new contract, $45 million per year. That's just how it is for the quarterback market because supply and demand. We want to say, oh, Kirk, and he's a top 12 quarterback. You can't just replace that out of nowhere. And to say, well, he's not getting it done, and all we have to do now, let's go for a cheap quarterback or draft our quarterback of the future to hopefully go from a top 12 quarterback that we have right now to a top 7, top 6, because that's so easy to do, as if everybody else isn't trying to do that. Really? No, let's just get a top 7 quarterback. It's so easy. Please. And you can draft the quarterback with Kirk Cousins on your team. Nobody's stopping the Vikings from doing that, just like the Chiefs. When they drafted Patrick Mahomes, goodness, Alex Smith was still the starting quarterback. In fact, he started that same year that Mahomes got drafted. Then they moved on from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes because they saw he was ready. Hey, it has to be one thing or the other. Earl says Stafford won a Super Bowl. Oh, no, Earl. No, you don't understand. Stafford was so much better, even though he was 16 games under 500 before he got to L.A., which was worse than Kirk Cousins as a 500 quarterback, historically speaking, for his career. No, you don't understand. It's so much different because Stafford, he's so much better. He was losing with style. But I get it. The Stafford comparison is right there. I'm not going to do that anymore because the mental gymnastics that the anti-Kirk Cousins crowd that they put up with or that they try to come up with is, well, he has the clutch gene. Yeah, he's 16 games under 500. He's so clutch. He makes big plays. How did that work for him before he got to LA? Oh, y'all working hard today, boy. R. Emmer 33 says Vikings roster construction is wildly different than the Rams. Well, yeah, Aaron Donald, goodness, Jalen Ramsey, they added Von Miller, but you never know. Kwesi, he can make things happen. Give him time. First year GM. Let's see. Ashton says Kirk stonk to the moon. I hear that, man. It's definitely happening. Kwesi's definitely about to get some phone calls. 2 first-round picks. Minimum. Think it's a game. All right. All the desperation from these teams. Denver, they've been trying to figure out the quarterback situation forever. Hey, you got Kirk right here. Carson Wentz, a first and a third. You don't think Kirk is worth more than that? Please. Lucas says 3 first. Even better. Probably not. But that'd be great. Let's see. Chirac says, what's Cousins' record if he had to play in Detroit? I mean, anywhere between what Stafford did and what Kirk has done, especially with the Washington football team. Here's a question I'll throw at you, Chirac. What would Stafford's record be with the Minnesota Vikings under Zimmer? It would be the exact same as what Kirk has done with Zimmer these past 4 years. It's just the situation that Stafford went to in LA was much better than Detroit. Kirk Cousins, he needs that in Minnesota. Let's see. R. Emmer 33 says Willis sitting behind Kirk for a year doesn't sound bad to me. I guess if that is the plan, to let him play out his contract and become a free agent 2023 and say, all right, Malik Willis, second year, you're ready. Okay, I'm just saying this dude needs a lot of work. And then what's up with Kellen Mond? We don't even know what type of player he's going to be or what player he is right now. Let's see. Lucas says, Randy, what would you feel satisfied with giving up Cousins? 2 first-round picks. Nothing less. Greedy. Number 1 quarterback on the trade market right now. Drew is saying trade back and see if Booth or McDuffie is there in the late teens. Yeah, I mean, I talked about that yesterday. Sauce is nice, but when you're playing teams like Memphis or UTEP or all these non-competitive teams, for the majority of your collegiate career, 99% of your games, the American Athletic Conference, it's one thing going from college football, even if you play in the SEC, going from college football to the pros is already such a big step because everybody in the league is basically an All-American. Now, with that aside, take it a step further, jumping from the American Athletic Conference at corner to then say, all right, he's going to be a top 10 pick, or okay, we'll invest the 12th pick in this guy. I don't know, man. I got a lot of questions. Soda State Soldier says, I think Kirk Cousins just needs a good person at his helm to give him the confidence he can't attain by himself. I agree. If you have a head coach that actually wants you there, money isn't going to change who you are. Your biology is who you are. Just because you threw $84 million guaranteed initially the offseason leading into 2018 for Kirk Cousins, that's not going to change who he is as a football player. Okay, so if you have a head coach knowing who he is, if you have a head coach that actually wants him, that I think Kevin O'Connell does, and you develop an actual offensive system around him instead of having a rotation of offensive coordinators every other year. Not to say that outside of John DeFilippo, everybody else got promotions, or in the case of Gary Kubiak, he retired. So it's not necessarily all on Zim, but stability. We talk about continuity all the time back with Zim when he was a head coach. If Kirk Cousins could have some continuity, I think he would thrive. I really do. Angel says, Randy, wings or pizza? Wings. Can't go wrong with wings. Traditional wings. Bone-in wings, not that boneless wing crap. They're nuggets. I don't know who just rebranded it to boneless wings, but wings all day. Let's see. Corporate says Kirk to the Broncos for a first, second, and an interior offensive line starter. Not good enough. 2 firsts. Now, if you also want to throw in an interior offensive line starter, great. But no, I want those 2 first-round picks. Let's see. Jacob says, what about Kirk's time in Washington? He had 3 amazing coaches. Did he? Jay Gruden? We're really talking about this guy? What was his other coaches there? Let me see this. Washington football team coaches. Not like he had Ron Rivera, who's there right now. I know he had Jay Gruden, who has not had a head coaching job since. Yeah, it was Jay Gruden the whole time. So, and speaking of which, Washington, right? They were treating Kirk Cousins the same way as we're treating him right now. Oh, let's just get rid of him. He ain't worth it. How have they looked at quarterback since Kirk Cousins left, huh? Goodness. Taylor Heineke? Oh, snap. Dwayne Haskins. Let's see what he can do. Please. Cody says Mariota. Oh my God, if Marcus Mariota is the starting quarterback next season, burn the whole franchise to the ground. Jefferson, he's going to want out. But hey, at least we got rid of Kirk Cousins at the expense of Justin Jefferson, who's going to catch 1 touchdown in the 2022 season. Yay. CJ2K says, who are we going to have at center if no Bradbury? Well, that's interesting because a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned Jason Kelce. I mentioned Jason Kelce from the Philadelphia Eagles because when I went to Spotrac.com, their free agent tracker, Jason Kelce was right there. And all of a sudden, he's not. Now, I haven't seen any news of a contract restructure or he signed a new contract extension. I didn't see anything like that. So I'm not sure what happened there. But moving on from that, who are we going to have at center if not Garrett Bradbury? Really 2 guys. Ryan Jensen from Tampa, and either way, these 2 guys, they're going to cost you a hefty penny. Either Ryan Jensen from Tampa or Ben Jones from Tennessee. I think those are the 2 guys that you would feel satisfied with. Jensen is going to be, there's going to be more money to spend on him. But Ben Jones from Tennessee, Ryan Jensen, they both have strength. If nothing else, all the athletic movement, can he move out in space and run blocking and zone blocking and all that stuff? Can you block your man mano a mano? The nose tackle is lined up right up on you. There's no scheme. There's nothing. Can you be strong? Can you hold your man in place? Can you be an anchor? Those 2 guys can do that. I hope the Vikings, unless it's in the, I would even say 3rd round, unless it's in the 3rd round, I don't want to see the Vikings going center or offensive line in the draft. Address that in free agency. Let's see. Nick says, what do y'all think of the stuff going on in Arizona with Murray? Oh, he's being a drama queen, just like Aaron Rodgers. He wants all the money. It's all good. It's not our problem right now. We have a quarterback who's just sitting there minding his business, and we're coming up with ways to just Throw him into the coals. Let's see. Lucas said, I take Kyler Murray. Well, yeah, I would too, but they're not trading him. Peter Erickson says, thoughts on Stingley versus McDuffie. I doubt Sauce is there after the draft. So you mean before pick 12. Stingley, he's missed what, 2 years? We're talking about the corner out of Alabama, right? Alabama, LSU, right? That dude's missed like 2 years. That is a big risk for me. And every mock draft that I've done, he was taken off the board before pick 12. So in that case, McDuffie. And baseline, even if Stingley is there at 12, McDuffie. Sorry. Too much risk there with Stingley. Earl says, unrealistic Randy. Arguments about Kirk are trash. He just blames Zimmer for everything. Kirk has the mental of a teenager who's trying to talk to his crush for the first time. All right. What would any quarterback, Earl, what would any quarterback accomplish with Mike Zimmer? A head coach that didn't want the quarterback, that doesn't believe in a modern offense, only want to win if it's done his way, running the football, run, pass, defense, defense, defense. By the way, that defense has been asked the last 2 years. What quarterback would have any success in that situation? Name one. There is none. Come on, man. Hey, we're just gonna pretend. We're just gonna pretend that the head coach and the GM that they didn't have issues at all, and that Kirk is supposed to overcome that. What Kirk has been for the Minnesota Vikings his entire time is exactly what he was in Washington. So knowing that information, if you expected money to change Kirk Cousins from Washington to come to the Minnesota Vikings, that's a you problem. Money ain't gonna change him. He's exactly who he was. Build a team around him. What you mean you're gonna assign a quarterback that has little pocket awareness, mobility is very suspect, and we're gonna put together a crappy ass offensive line? Really? We're going to have a defense that we're just going to invest free agencies or free agent positions on. We're going to draft a corner in Cam Dantzler, and then the second year, we're going to throw him on the bench for Bashad Breeland. We don't care to develop young players on the defense. What quarterback is going to survive that situation? Come on, man. Kirk, he's supposed to overcome all that, please. Man, shoot. That. Let's see. Doobie says, any thoughts on re-signing both our interior D tackles for the offseason? Should we let Pierce go? It depends. Ooh. Well, first they're going to a 3-4. But Dalvin Tomlinson, he'll be there. I could see the argument for keeping Michael Pierce, although couldn't stay healthy last season. The year before that, he opted out, so that's not his fault. When he is healthy, Michael Pierce that dude is nice. I almost am leaning towards, okay, letting go of Pierce, bringing in Sheldon Richardson to play DN in the 3-4, much cheaper. And it also depends what they do with Danielle Hunter. Is he going to be the DN in the 3-4? I think he's better off as an outside linebacker in those formations. Man, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I would say for right now, bring back Sheldon Richardson over Michael Pierce. Let's see. Earl still going strong at it. You working hard today. Earl says Keenum, who's a lesser quarterback than Kirk, did better with the same team. Next argument. So Xavier Rhodes in 2018 didn't fall off. He really didn't. By the way, what has Case Keenum done ever since he left Minnesota? Done with you, Earl. Andy says, Randy, it still comes down to freeing up cap space to address the needs of the team for free agency and the draft. Quickest fix to this is to dump Cousins. I am like the Score North crew, tired of the same thing. Well, let's go ahead and look at the cap situation. Go ahead and look at that cap calculator on overthecap.com. Vikings cap calculator. Let's go ahead and free up some cap space, baby. Every time every year, the beginning of every offseason, we say, oh, with what money, with what cap? We have no cap, as if there's no way to manipulate it. So, number one, I'm gonna say you cut Michael Pierce. If you cut Michael Pierce, we'll cut him pre-June 1st. Cut Michael Pierce, you save $6.5 million right there alone. Okay. After that, let's say Adam Thielen, we're going to go ahead and restructure that. Boom, just a basic restructure. We save almost $7.5 million in cap. We're now at $821,000 in the red. Danielle Hunter restructure because that dude cannot stay healthy, or trade him. Quite honestly, this whole thing, the dude basically hasn't played in 2 years. I don't understand why we're so hell-bent on finding ways to keep Danielle Hunter, who can't stay healthy, but we're all in on Kirk Cousins being gone, despite the fact that all he does is stay healthy. So let's do a restructure there. A basic one. Okay. Those 3 moves alone, a cut of Michael Pierce, restructure of Thielen and Danielle Hunter, the Vikings now have just about $13.5 million in cap space. Okay. Kirk Cousins is not the end all be all to make cap space happen. Let's see. Let's see. And if M-Link is correct, saying we need roughly $10 million for our draft class, then that puts us at $3.5 million in cap space. And I'm sure there are plenty of other options. I mean, shoot, if you really want to get spicy. Trading Dalvin Cook, man. I'm not saying the Vikings are going to do it or that they should do it. I am very neutral in this situation. But you really do not need, in this era of football, you do not need a high-priced running back. You really don't, especially in Kevin O'Connell's offense. If the Vikings were to trade Dalvin Cook post June 1st, you save $9 million in cap, which would then put, after the draft class spending, that would then put the Vikings about $12.25 million in cap space. It's still not ideal. I understand you want to have more so around 20 mil in cap, but there are options for the Vikings. And I haven't even gotten to Kirk yet. Okay. So, and as far as who would you have, you still have Alexander Madison, Kane, and Nwangu. You can find running backs are a dime a dozen. I get that Dalvin Cook, he's super talented, when healthy, one of the best running backs in football, but you don't need a high priced running back. You don't. Let's see. Dre says, are you more excited for 22 or 23? Both. I'm excited for the future in general. I'm really excited for next season. I think the Vikings can make it to the playoffs. I really do. As long as you have quality quarterback play. Because if you have Marcus Mariota, and I know the argument is, well, it's not about 22, it's about 23. Well, the clock is continuing to tick for Justin Jefferson getting pissed off. Everyone just thinks he's going to, rebuild. Oh, yeah, I'm seeing all my friends. They're going to Super Bowls and they're winning games. Oh, yeah, that's all well and good. I want to rebuild and suck. And then have a bridge quarterback where I'm not going to put up stats. At least if we're going to lose games, at least let me put up some stats and break some records. Oh, we're losing and my stats are low? Oh, yes, bring it on. Very happy for that. Motown says, Randy, you're tripping. Speaking facts. I am. Not you, Motown. Got to think about Jefferson, man. That Viking says, would you rather have Marcus Mariota or Baker Mayfield? I would rather have boneless wings that are an abomination to the history of food. I would rather have boneless wings being the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings than those two. So he says, trade Kirk for boneless wings. I hate all of you. I hate you. Um, Too Evil to Hope says, aren't you tired of just getting in the playoffs to get blown out in the wild card round? Wouldn't you rather miss the playoffs on the way to getting a lot better? Yes, I am tired. Too Evil to Hope. I am tired of getting to the playoffs and being one and done, or maybe you win one game and that's it. Here's why I think baseline is going to be different. The head coach. If the Vikings, let's say we had any head coach in the 2017 NFC Championship game, any other head coach, does this team with the number one defense, do they lose by 31 points? I don't think so. Maybe they even win. 2019 against San Francisco, any other head coach, do they look more prepared going up against the 49ers? I think so. I think the head coach changes everything. Scheme, timely challenges, timeouts, the 2-minute drill, all of that stuff adds up. I think baseline, because of that, those expectations are to putting this all on Kirk Cousins. That is wild to me, man. Kirk should have overcame all that. What? Mateo says, Randy, keeping Kirk is not going to keep JJ. JJ played with a legit quarterback and leader in Burrow. The only thing Kirk and Burrow have in common is they are white. Really? Come on, man. Don't do that. All right, well, let's give him Sean Mannion. Let's give him. You want a cheap quarterback so bad? Give him Sean Mannion. I'm sure he's going to break records with him. Cheap quarterbacks. They're so. The rookie quarterback, we just have to find the next Patrick Mahomes, the next Joe Burrow, and we'll be set. It's so easy to do, right? Scoobs says, realistically, what is Kirk's trade value now? A first and then some, not just a first. For me, it's 2 first-round picks, but Carson Wentz turned out to be, goodness, a 2021 third and a 2022 first. So a first and a third, I mean, at least a first and a second for Kirk. Really, it should be 2 firsts because of how much better Kirk is than Carson Wentz. Let's see. That Viking guy says, where's the let's bring back Keenum part of the fan base? My God. Yeah, let's go back to that. Goodness, good Lord. What has Case Keenum done since leaving Minnesota? He's been on what, 3 teams? Denver, Washington, Cleveland. Oh, man, Kirk could never do what Case did. All right. A 1-year wonder. Took a miracle play to get to the NFC Championship game before he got waxed by 31 points. Oh, my God. Connor says, I am not the biggest fan of Kirk, especially that contract, but I would really like to see what this new coaching staff and Kirk can do. Randy, extend Kirk a year and reduce cap hit this year. Possible? I do think so. He's not going to take a team-friendly deal. I do think he would be open to a 1-year contract extension because you got to remember, Kirk is all about the short-term contract so he can re-up as many times as possible for his market value. I think a 1-year contract extension is possible, and that actually provides the Vikings the ability to draft a quarterback. Drafting a quarterback right now, that is just so desperate. There's no one out there that I think is, oh yeah, you got to take him. That gives the Vikings the opportunity to draft a quarterback in 23 and still have Kirk Cousins while that quarterback develops. So then if he does turn out to be the quarterback that we hope to be, then yeah, we can move on from Kirk. Boom, new quarterback of the future. I think a 1-year contract extension is possible. David says, hold up, though. Everyone thought the Mahomes Allen quarterback class was trash, too. I didn't. I thought, hold up. Isn't that the same draft class of Deshaun Watson? Because I got receipts on this shit. Let me see this. Ooh! Ooh! The 2017 draft. Hold up. Patrick Mahomes draft. What year was that? Was that the same year? Oh, yes, it was. Okay. Let me tell y'all something right now. Okay. Everyone thought that quarterback draft class was terrible. I didn't. Deshaun Watson, the fact that he went after Mitch Trubisky, okay, the Bears traded up to take Mitch Trubisky. And I went on this YouTube channel and I did a selfie reaction vid and I said, this is so stupid. Y'all really took this dude over Deshaun Watson? Really? Now, I thought Josh Allen was trash. I will be full on honest about that. I got nothing to hide. But Deshaun Watson, I knew he was going to be nice. Patrick Mahomes, I didn't know about, but I did not think the same as everyone else when it came to that. Man, please. Yo. And all those Bear fans, they came after me. You don't know what you're talking about. Yo, this dude played 1 year at North Carolina, Mitch Trubisky. We're really going to sit here and trade up to take this guy? You took him over Deshaun Watson? Are you nuts? And Bears fans, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just some YouTuber. I'm sure it's still there. I have no reason to delete it. Yo, look it up on this channel. I still remember that in real time. I should go back and start replying to those comments, even though I don't look at comments very often. I should go back and just start replying to those old takes exposed. Please. Yeah, y'all remember that, right? Man, that was how many years ago? 17? 5? I did that. Woo-wee. And now, oddly enough, they're saying now that Mitch Trubisky could have a nice free agent market. Oh, he's going to be a hot quarterback on the market. For what? Really? Oh, because a new head coach, I can change him. Mitch Trubisky is, he's Malik Willis. One read and out. That's it. That's all he's good for. Man, please. Who was that said everyone thought the draft class was trash? I know that. I didn't think that at all. Let's see. Trubisky to Minnesota. Oh, my God. Do not do that to me. We're destined to have just a trash-ass quarterback next year, aren't we? Especially if we trade Kirk. Gizbo says, where is Kyle Sloter now? He is in the USFL. That's my boy. I hope he succeeds and comes back to the league. Steve says, love your content, Randy. Why did the Vikings do Sugarman dirty? Because apparently he was a no good piece of shit. According to Afedio Denabo, that was also co-signed by former players Jeff Badette and Jaleel Johnson. Not a good guy, even though we all thought he was. Yeah, I would be okay with Minshew. I think I would be. I think that is a stopgap quarterback that I never thought of or thought to mention, but the more I think of it, I guess Jefferson can still get his stats, even though we'll win 6 games next season. Which, wouldn't that go against the point of the bridge quarterback, at least that type of bridge quarterback for those that want Kirk Cousins traded? Because the quarterbacks in next year's draft class, I mean, you're going to need a top 5 draft pick. Although, if you do get 2 first-round picks for Kirk, that gives you ammo to trade up in next year's draft. So I guess same difference. Mazen says, send Cousins to Denver and use the trade compensation for Russ. If we don't get Russ, stick with Kirk and trade up next year for the franchise quarterback. Goodness, it's going up. Where did it go? All right, trade for the franchise quarterback and a better quarterback draft. Yeah, I mean, that is the worst case scenario for Kwesi, is to let Kirk play out his contract and then become a free agent in 2023. And then you go after a quarterback. The only thing is, though, if you don't trade Kirk, you don't have that ammo to trade up in the first round. Or you could give up multiple future first round picks, but you're not going to have that. Whereas if you do give Kirk Cousins a 1-year contract or 1-year extension, or even 2 years, you always have the option to trade him later. Unless he says, well, I want a no trade clause, which, whatever, dude. We're not going through that again. Play is for keeps. 20 says, I think Malik Willis should go to the Vikings and sit behind Cousins for a few years. Who knows? He could be the next Dante Culpepper. I actually have something to say about that in terms of the Dante Culpepper comparison. First off, Malik Willis, he could be great. I'm not denying that. I think there are a lot of flaws with him. He's going to need at least 2 years to develop. And then that means you need to make sure you have some sort of contract extension for Kirk. But Dante Culpepper, this is not going to be the popular take. Dante Culpepper was the product of Randy Moss. Okay. Randy Moss, once he was gone, once the Vikings stupidly trade him to Oakland for Napoleon Harris and a pick that turned out to be Troy Williamson, Dante Culpepper, after Randy Moss, was not good. And we can talk about, well, the injury. Well, man, what year was that? I remember that year. And that sucked because that was, I think he tore his ACL and Brad Johnson. He came in to start the rest of the year. But once Randy Moss left, even before he got hurt, that 2005 season, the Vikings were 2-5, 6 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The year after Randy Moss left, okay? The year prior, when he was still there, 2004, 39 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Bro, Randy Moss leaving all of a sudden 6-12? Product of Randy Moss, man. That's why, to me, Moss is the greatest receiver of all time because he made quarterbacks. So if Malik Willis is going to be the next Dante Culpepper, well, we do have Justin Jefferson. So I guess that is the comparison. Maybe it is right after all, assuming that we do keep him. But, I need a quarterback to be good, regardless of the receiver that's there. Yeah, Gizbo. All Culpepper had to do was throw it up and Randy would get it. I'm not going to disrespect him. I'm not going to go that far because because of Randy Moss, he was able to throw to other receivers, Nate Burleson, and yes, it went all well. But once Randy Moss was gone, it was a whole different ball game. Let's see. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that's not the popular take. Everyone loves Dante Culpepper. I like him too. The get your roll on, the speed bag that he did, celebration of the TDs that he threw. Yeah. Wait, what are you? Russ to Broncos. What is happening? No way. No! 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 Oh, you better be lying. I swear to God, dude. Don't you do this to me. Wait, where is it? Where is it? No, Tom Pelissero! God damn it! Well, that's it. Tom Pelissero, blockbuster. The Seahawks and Broncos have agreed in principle on a trade sending 9-time Pro Bowler quarterback Russell Wilson to Denver for a massive haul, including multiple first-round draft picks, plus additional picks and players. Well, it's over. It's over. It's all done. Hey, guess what? Then that means, well, it means two things. For me, it means that, okay, Kirk Cousins better be the quarterback next season. Deshaun Watson, that is just a cloudy situation that I honestly don't want to have any part of. That's just me. Number two, on the opposite side, that means that Kirk Cousins is no doubt the number one quarterback on the trade market right now. It's over. Okay? So wow. Because I wanted Russell Wilson so bad. And I knew it. Pete Carroll, oh, we have no intention of trading Russell Wilson. What? No! That is so depressing, dude. Excuse me. Kirk Cousins, that's it now. Sooner or later. Man, a lot of news is breaking right now. Mike Williams with the Chargers, he's getting a new contract extension. So much shit is happening, but they really got Russell Wilson, man. Yo, it's over. Either we have Kirk Cousins with this new coaching staff and we maximize his potential next season, or we go ahead, let him go for a bum-ass quarterback. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. That's terrible. Oh my God. Multiple first round picks. Yeah. Like the Vikings. Why weren't you in on it? God. What? Mm-mm-mm. That means Denver, I mean, obviously they're out the trade market now, but that means Carolina looking at you or Indy. I think Carolina or low key Indy, those would be the two teams that I think would most likely trade for Kirk, Cleveland being an outsider. But that is so deflating. That the spirit is gone now. I was really excited. Maybe we have a chance at Russell Wilson. Nope, it's over. Wow. Lucas, Pittsburgh, you're right. That's another team. 3-team that with Carolina and Indy. You're right. Pittsburgh is right there. Zachary Cunningham says he has to approve the trade, though. Well, I'm assuming he did with the no trade clause. I'm assuming he did, especially if the trade has already been announced. Let's see. Too Evil to Hope says, Randy, don't you think Diggs, Thielen, and Jefferson were propping up Kirk, that he's really a mediocre quarterback without those receivers? No, I don't think they were propping him up. I think it was mutually beneficial because Kirk Cousins, he has a strong ass arm, even though Justin Jefferson, when he went on Colin Cowherd's show months ago and said, yeah, he doesn't have the strongest arm. I think Kirk Cousins has a strong arm. Kirk Cousins is accurate. He's accurate as hell. He has a strong arm. He throws a great deep ball. See, more news is coming in. Oh, yeah. Confirming the blockbuster trade. Russell Wilson to Denver. That's wow. No, I don't think they propped him up at all. I think it was mutually beneficial. Oh my God. That is Quasi, do something. Or don't now. No, my God, do nothing now. Russell Wilson's gone. There's nothing to do. My God. You couldn't talk to Schneider, Quasi? Really? Jacob says, so who's the Seahawks going to start now? Who knows? Maybe Kirk Cousins. Maybe that's him. Maybe that's the next quarterback. I have no idea. Wow. So, Kirk is definitely the number one quarterback on the trade market as of right now, this very instant. And there's no two ways around it. Kirk Cousins will be the starting quarterback for the Vikings, or we are in football purgatory. We can sit here and say just cheap quarterback. All the years, Christian Ponder, Tavares Jackson, we had that year and a half or two with Donovan McNabb. That's what we're about to really encounter again. And with the most patient ownership group in the league, the Wolf brothers, this could get really ugly. Man, this is, that was the one guy I was hoping to get. Woo! More of your comments. We'll do a few more. Dre to Society says Kirk could go to Seattle. Yeah, he could. He very well could. Throw Seattle in there as well. So what? Right now we're at Carolina, Indy, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and now Seattle. 1 year of Kirk Cousins? Sure, why not? Before they draft the next quarterback in 23. Could be setting them up. Deshaun Watson, I don't know if this dude even plays next season, or if he does, at what week. He's going to be put on the exempt list whenever he's assuming he's cleared of all this crap that he's been accused of doing. So for me, Deshaun Watson, he's not even part of the equation. More of your comments. Too Evil to Hope says, I think the Colts look like a good destination. I could see that working out. Frank Reich, head coach. Yeah, nice offensive line they have too. And that would be something, wouldn't it? Because the Carson Wentz situation in Indy was very simple. If you held Jonathan Taylor to under 100 yards rushing as a defense, the opposing team, they won the game. If you force Carson Wentz to make plays with his arm and force Carson Wentz to beat you with his arm, the Colts, they always lost. Whereas in those situations, Kirk Cousins, he would fill in great. Nice offensive line, good head coach. They don't have a first this year, Jacob, but I'm assuming they have a first. They can get future first round picks up. Ain't too worried about that. Teddy B says, Randy, the Vikings just missed out on Wilson. I know. You guys broke the news to me just now. I don't know what to say. We'll do a few more. Lucas, the trade is pending his approval. Russ wants Minnesota. I know it. There's no way they would make these announcements right now unless he already approved it. That would be so embarrassing. Drew, Tampa still an option for Kirk Cousins? Yeah, unless Tom Brady all of a sudden does an about face and reneges on his retirement and says, yeah, I'm coming back. Tampa, throw them in the mix. I don't know why I didn't think of them. Leroy says Detroit deserves Kirk. Okay, what are we doing here? And we'll do one more. Earl, you working hard today, man. Earl says, bro, we haven't won over 8 or 9 games since Kirk has been here. I think we're already in purgatory. Okay. Again, what quarterback is going to have any success with the former head coach? Okay. All the players that came out and spoke out on the culture, the toxicity of the culture that Zimmer left behind or while he was there, what quarterback is going to succeed in that situation? Name one. Name one. Crappy offensive line, crappy head coach, defense is ass. You can't say hi to your players when you're walking past them in the hallway. Kirk's supposed to overcome all that? What quarterback can overcome all that? I'll do one more. Come on, Earl. Dre to Society says, random question, but are you a Cali Vikings fan? Yeah, I'm in NorCal, Bay Area. Yeah, Eric says Saints are in so much salary cap debt to take Kirk. Yeah, they're normally whenever the rebuttal is with what cap space, with what money do the team have to make a player happen, I would say, yeah, the cap, you can always manipulate it, but the Saints, they're like, what, 70, 75 over? Too Evil to Hope says with the super chat, I appreciate that. He says, I appreciate you doing these live streams. I'd love to see you join Clickbait Sports. Yeah, they're a fun group, man. I like their content. They do a lot of good stuff. You know, if they ever hit me up, sure. Lucas says, Drew Lock traded to Seattle, next franchise quarterback. Wait, is that a hot take or is that something that is actually happening right now? I'm assuming that's just a take. Yeah, Drew Lock is horrible, man. That's in fact, we want to bridge quarterback so bad. Drew Lock could be the next quarterback for the Vikings this season. Oh, I need to process this. My hopes and dreams just shot to hell. Russell Wilson with the Denver Broncos. I was hoping the Vikings could make a play for him if they are going to trade Kirk Cousins, which he is the number one quarterback on the trade market right now. I don't know what to say. I don't know the next time I'll do a live stream, maybe next week or the week after. I'll keep you posted. Thank you all for participating in these. This is a lot of fun. Next video pod will be tomorrow. We'll see you then. Thanks again.